So this is the story of the ALUU 4. Yes, one of the most heartbreaking and tragic events in Nigerian recent history, not just because of the brutal death of four innocent young men, but because of how easily it all happened and how so many people stood by and did nothing to stop it. On October 5th, 2012, four students from the University of Port Harcourt, known as Uniport, Ugonna Obuzo, Lloyd Toku, Shadika Beringa, and Tekene Elkana, lost their lives in the most horrific way. These were just regular young men like any other students with dreams, ambitions, and a future ahead of them. They had gone to the ALUU community, which was close to their school, to recover a debt that was owned by one of them by a man named Bright. It wasn't a crime, they just wanted to collect what was rightfully theirs. But what happened next turned their lives upside down. That's what happened next also took their lives from them. Instead of the Bright simply paying what he owned, an argument broke out. Rather than resolving it peacefully, he raised an alarm accusing the four students of being thieves. It was a lie, but in a community that had long dealt with insecurity, theft, people were quickly to react. The four students were caught by members of a local vigilante group, a kind of community security force to operate outside the official police without asking any questions. Without listening to the student side of the story, the vigilante labeled them as criminals. Fear and anger fueled what would soon become an unimaginable tragedy. As the news spread, a crowd began to gather. More and more people joined, eager to see what was happening. But instead of stopping the madness, they became the part of it. The vigilantes tied the students up and the crowd started beating them mercilessly. These were young men barely out of their teenage years, facing a furious mob of people who didn't care whether they were guilty or innocent. They were stripped naked, paraded through the streets, beaten with sticks, stones, and anything the mob could find. The pain, the humiliation, the terror they most have felt surrounded by people who had already decided their fate. They begged for their lives, but no one actually listened to them when they were begging for their lives. Some members of the crowd recorded the videos of the attack on their phones instead of stepping in to stop the violence. They watched as if it were an entertainment. The final moments of the students after hours of this torture, the mob didn't stop. In their eyes, the students were no longer humans. They were seen as thieves, even though they had no proof, no trial, and also no justice. The four young men were covered in a car tires, doused in gasoline, and set on fire. The flames ended what little hope was left. They died alone and terrified in the midst of a crowd that had turned against them for no reason other than suspicion and fear. The outcry. When videos of the lynching went viral, the entire nation was horrified. The image of the four students being beaten and burned alive shocks everyone. Protests erupted across Nigeria, especially at the University of Port Harcourt, where students mourned their fallen peers. These students, these young men weren't criminals. They were sons, brothers, and friends whose lives were stolen by a senseless act of mob justice. Their families were shattered. Parents who had sent their children to school to get an education and build a better future suddenly found themselves burying their sons, victims of an hungry and violent side of the society. So after this thing happened, the parents and people went into the society to seek justice. The Nigerian government eventually took action. Arrests were made and those responsible for the death of the ALUU 4 were brought to trial. In July 2017, after years of legal battles, four of the suspects, including the community leader who alleged gave the go-ahead for the killings, were sentenced to death. But for many, justice came late. The damage had been done and nothing could bring back the lives of Ugonna, Lloyd, Shiadika, and Tekena. Their names become symbols of how dangerous mob justice can be and how easily fear and anger can destroy the innocent lives. So this is a reminder that you shouldn't engage yourself in anything called mob justice. Yes, because there are always a tragic end to it. The story of the ALUU 4 serves as a powerful reminder of what happens when we lose our humanity. It is a story about the dangers of rushing of judgment, about the failures of a system where people that take the law into their own hands, and about the importance of justice, truth, and empathy. Ugonna, Lloyd, Shadeka, and Tekene will never be forgotten. They should have been protected. They should have been heard, but instead their lives were stolen, and Nigeria was left with a tragedy that serves as a pain lesson. Mob justice destroyed, and it could happen to anyone. So this is the end of the story. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next story that I'll be bringing up.